Welcome to the Holly Furtick Book Club. I just realized my phone wasn't plugged in, so I'm going to do that really quick. It's another book club night. Feels like we were just here. But here we are again, reading good books, talking to them, talking to the authors who have written them, which is always so much fun. We are talking about this book, Tell Me More, by Kelly Corrigan. And I'm so excited. Kelly is going to be on tonight. She's going to be chatting with us. It's going to be the best. I love talking to authors. And I hope you enjoyed this book as much as I did. This is an essay-driven memoir. And I love the subtitle because it's, well, let me read it to you. Stories about the 12 hardest things I'm learning to say. And so every chapter is about a different thing that we need to learn to say. That's difficult to say. It pretty much speaks for itself. I don't know why I had to elaborate on that. She has written 4 New York Times bestselling memoirs in the last decade. That is amazing. And last month, she released her first children's book, Hello World. This book is so adorable. It's for children. It's for grown-ups. It's for teenagers. It's amazing. You're going to love it. Kelly Corrigan also has an amazing podcast, which I'm going to ask her about. And she has, hi, Lindsay Franklin. She has a TV show on PBS where she interviews people. And it's amazing as well. Kelly is just a really amazing woman. And I'm so excited to talk to her. Let's get Kelly on because I have a lot of questions to ask her. So here we go. Let's see. Hi, Kelly.
Hi. Look, we have like the same outfit on.
This is my dirty hair look.
That is the dirty hair. I think it's the international sign of I didn't take a shower yet.
Well, I took a shower, but I haven't washed my hair since Saturday. So
wow, impressive.
So it's getting to where I was like, I think I'm gonna wear a hat because I don't want to stare at myself. No, I only wash my hair twice a week. I'm like an old lady, Tuesdays and Saturdays.
That's like my mom. She used to like scarf on and sleep on her silk pillowcase because she had her hair house and she didn't want to go. Why I don't want to go back to the hair house, Kelly?
We really do kind of look the same with our hat and our glasses tonight.
It's so funny.
It's a vibe. Okay, first of all, thank you for coming on here. We are so excited to meet you. Everybody in the comments is saying hey and how much they love your book and also how much they don't like to wash their hair.
Yeah.
We're getting all of these things.
Friends, then.
So, okay, Kelly, I have to ask you what I asked everybody else to start with. Which of the 12 things is the hardest for you?
It's hard for me to say nothing. It's very hard. My kids are 18 and 19-year-old girls, and I do feel like I may have reached the outer limits of what I know that can be useful to them in kind of a practical sense. Of course, I know deep, important, emotional truths, but I don't know how Georgia should get this internship. And I don't know what college Claire should go to. And I don't know where you get mattresses if your mattress is uncomfortable on campus. And all sorts of things like that where I'm inclined, I don't know whether they should go with their friend to the prom or try to find an actual like date. You know, I don't know what they should wear. Like, and I am coming repeatedly to this place of humility, and the fastest route to that place for me is what could have my mother told me when I was 18 or 19 that I would have been like, wow, great idea, Mom. Thanks for that. That's perfect. That's just what I'll say. That's just what I'll do. Just do my resume like that. You know, like I just don't know. I don't know what the right answer is. And I think it's time to cop to that. But to me, and it sounds like for you too, that like to love someone is to guide them.
Yeah.
And to love someone is to say some things.
Yeah.
And it's shocking to me and particularly challenging to me that maybe to love someone is to not say something.
It's so true. You know, I think one of the biggest things I've learned as a mom is that parenting is more and more and more about the older your kids get. My oldest is 15. It's more about listening than it is about lecturing.
Mm-hmm.
And lecturing feels good.
Well, it feels like you're putting all this stuff into use. Like, you know, by the time you're our age, you have learned some lessons the hard way. And the idea that you would not be able to then turn that around into some sort of useful, you know, anecdote just at the right time to save them a little failure or heartache. Like, it's kind of a shocking ripoff to me.
Yes.
Like, was that all just for naught? Like, why won't you let me use this? But it's not. It's like the other thing that helps me that I say a lot is she's on her epic journey. Like, it's not my journey, and I'm not walking it with her, and it's epic to her. You know, there's no sort of fast forwarding her to a year from now or 5 years from now, or certainly not 10 years from now. Everything's big, everything matters, everything's real. And, you know, it's just asking more questions. I mean, that's really the most useful thing you could ever do. Like, a lot of times I'll get something very wrong. And if I don't ask a question, I won't even know it. And so we'll leave the interaction and I'll think like, good job, Kelly. Like, you really said the right thing at the right time. Like, really helped her out. And then, you know, a month later, she'll say, oh, no, you didn't understand. But it just seemed like that you weren't gonna. So I just let the conversation end. So, like, even just saying, is this helping? Like, will often yield, like, not really. And then you think, oh, sorry, how could I be? Is there a way I can be helpful?
Yeah. I know the book isn't really necessarily about parenting,
No,
but there's so many great parenting nuggets in there. One of my other favorite parenting nuggets. So I love the chapter on Tell Me More, and I thought it was brilliantly written. And the first time I read your book, which was a couple years ago, I tried to tell my husband, I tried to like retell it to my husband. And I sort of like took it more like a formula. Like, tell me more is a phrase you should actually say, which, I mean, you can, but it's not as much a phrase as it is about like
a mindset.
Yeah. And when you tell the scene of your daughter calling you and how the things that you say, that you don't actually say, tell me more. You're like, and then what happened? Mm-hmm. And what else? And so I think that maybe the second time I'm hoping that it like sunk in a little bit better. But my other favorite little parenting nugget comes from your mom. And the story about you not eating cheese, which first of all, okay, I have to ask you, because I know everybody else who read this book wants to know, why did you go so long? And what made you just be like, wait, I love cheese, I'm going to eat cheese?
Okay, so to back up, I wanted everyone at my birthday party when I was 10 years old to be able to order their own hoagie, which is what we in Philadelphia call a sub, like a big sandwich. And the sandwiches in Philly are like, you know, they're like 12 inches long. And my mom is super waist not want none. So not only did it seem like logistically ridiculous that all 20 girls would order a different sandwich, but also she's just picturing the waste. Like, they'll just take 2 bites and then they'll show throwing away like a month's worth of food.
Valid point.
Intolerable for her. So she said, we're not going to do that. We're just going to have pizza. And I said, I don't like cheese. And she said, what do you mean you don't like cheese? Like, you ate cheese last night. And I was like, I hate cheese. And you don't even know me. And you don't even notice what's important to me. And I hate cheese. And so we got in this kind of like ridiculous standoff where I knew that she knew that I didn't hate cheese, but it was like, it was the only thing I could think of to maybe get the hoagies. And so anyway, she got the pizzas. And I pulled off the top of the cheese, you know, like in the sheet, and just ate the tomatoey bread. And, you know, I like dropped it into the trash can like it was like a dead spider. And then I had to stick to it. You know, then I had to like make the lie real. And so I just, for 10 years, all the way until I got to college, I no cheesecake, no cheese and crackers, no nachos, no cheeseburgers, certainly no pizza.
This
I mean,
is so funny to
and then
me.
I kind of got there in my head, which it was like, really on the verge of insanity. So anyway, I get to college, and one of my best friends is this girl, Mary Kay Lombino. Mary Kay Lombino is from this Italian family, and I go visit her in Rye, New York after freshman year. And her mom I didn't know what olive oil was. Like, I had no idea what that was. So that's how, like, I didn't know peas came in a pod. I thought they came in a plastic bag. Like, I'd never seen peas in a pod until I was like 20. And I thought it was like the most beautiful thing, and everyone teased me about it. So anyway, I get to Mary Kay Lombino's, and they have these I love tomatoes. They have summer tomatoes, and then a big leaf, and then what I think is chicken breast, like a white chicken breast.
Mozzarella.
And then this thing that I thought was like butter. Like, I didn't know what this colorful, oily lubricant was. So anyway, I just couldn't get enough. And Mary Kay had always suspected me that I wasn't really allergic, because I had started to say I was allergic to cheese.
Okay.
And you'd say to people you don't eat cheese, they just go crazy on you. They're like, well, how can you not eat cheese? You must eat cheese. You don't eat this, you don't eat that. And so it's a whole deal. So I started saying I was allergic. And then she said, are you lactose intolerant? And I said, I'm Catholic, because I didn't know what lactose intolerant meant. So she was like, you're lying. Like, there's something funny going on here. So anyway, I ate this entire plate of mozzarella. And then she was like, you just ate cheese. And then that was the turning point of my love affair with cheese. And I went right from there into mozzarella sticks, which is like one of the world's greatest products.
For sure.
Anyway, all that to like show my mom that like she wasn't gonna win, and like
that's like a legit commitment. To somebody just asked, did you ever eat cheese in secret? I'm thinking no,
because like I got it in my head, like I'm very suggestible, so like I have regular headaches, and I am like almost sure that I'm giving them to myself. Unfortunately, I can't
right.
I can't think my way out of them, but I can definitely think my way into them. So I know that I am capable, and I've had panic attacks and stuff, like, which is a very, like, I'm suggestible. I haven't had one in like 20 years, but I used to have them before I met Edward. And so anyway, I think I got myself kind of convinced that like I really didn't like cheese, and I thought cheese was disgusting. And
Gotcha.
I would eat grilled cheese, and I was like, that is so gross.
And so did your mom like legit, she just let it go? Because actually this is really funny, because my 15-year-old has started saying cheese hurts my stomach. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. Cheese does not hurt your stomach. He's like, Mom, I'm telling you, when I eat cheese, it hurts my stomach. And I'm like, you've always eaten cheese. And I can't let it go. I'm like, something else is hurting your stomach.
Right. No, she would let it go in 2 seconds. I care. Like, we're so different. My mom and I are so different, and I kind of wish as I get older that I was more like her. Like, she's just way more detached, way more. She would never give a second thought. If a kid said his stomach hurt, she'd be like, well, okay. Like, one less thing for me to buy at the grocery store. Just like utterly pragmatic. She doesn't need resolution. She doesn't need closure. She doesn't need like emotional repair. Like if I got mad at her in high school and went upstairs and like slammed my door, she would never in a million years come up and like knock on the
right.
Okay, do you want some dinner? Like the things I do, I'm like, if she saw me right now, it would be more shameful to her than if I had slept with the entire football team. Like it's like unbearable. It would be crazy for her to see how much I cave to my kids.
Right.
I like I want it to feel good, our
right.
relationship. And I just don't think that she had that desire. I think she wanted it to work.
Right. Do you think it's a generational thing?
Maybe. I mean, she thinks it's Oprah. So she thinks that Oprah, like literally Oprah Winfrey, but also Oprah, like that
right.
whole body of thought and talk and openness and vulnerability, et cetera, et cetera. Like, she doesn't know who Brene Brown is, but if she did, she wouldn't buy it. And you know, like that's like so much navel gazing to her. Like she's a person who goes to church every single day. She plays bridge. She doesn't spend money. She does her job. Like she's not I think she thinks that we're precious flowers, and also that we're looking in the wrong places for our deepest satisfactions, because she has really deep faith. So she would never like need a job to be like deeply satisfying for her.
Right.
Or like her children, her relationship
Right.
with children isn't like something that's supposed to like fill her soul.
Right.
Like her soul is filled elsewhere.
Yeah.
That is not the work of the world to do that. She wouldn't even think that the world was capable of doing that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's amazing.
I know.
I think
And
it's
he married a Catholic, and he went to church every day, and so they had that routine and that foundation that made it all very unassailable.
so much to learn from that generation.
I do think. I mean, I'm so glad she's still alive, and I'm so glad because I have come around to see so many things from her point of view, and I have such high regard for her. I really respect her, and I just didn't when I was younger. You know, I thought it was closed and kind of unsympathetic, and but it's more, she didn't find me a sympathetic character. Like she wasn't worried about me.
Right.
She's worried about people with real problems.
Right.
And that's not terrible.
Right. You turned out pretty good.
All my worrying and your worrying is actually productive.
Yeah, it's true.
So to what end? Or we're giving, like the other thing my dad used to say about money was when we would ask to like get paid for chores and stuff. And then he'd say, he came home one day and he's like, here's the thing, guys. We're passing the money around the middle. We want to bring it in from the outside. That about your mind share is that like our mind share and our capacities are sort of wasted on like the inside. If all you're thinking about is like your marriage and your kids and your school, like that's not quite big enough. That's not a big enough canvas for your capacities.
Right.
And so maybe like the best thing you could do is focus outward, and then you would find that the internal requirements or the requirements within your inner circle are naturally lowered because you are small enough in the frame. Like it's not, every single thing is not about you. And I think that's part of why, sorry, I'm really going deep on this, but
I love it.
Part of why I think being a teenager is really hard, because when you're a teenager, the message is you're the center of the universe.
Right.
And I don't think they want to be the center of the universe. I don't think they want it to be such a big deal whether they make a team or such a big deal what college they get into. Like, I just don't, I think we have put them in this place that's very stressful.
Yeah.
Because if it's like, oh, there's 8 billion people here, honey, like, go wherever you want to go. Like, don't take yourself so seriously. Like, it's just, no, there's not one person in this family that's any more or less important than any other person on the earth, except that there's just so many people on the earth. It's like an unimaginably large number.
Right. Yeah.
So
I think it's so true. And I think it's hard because teenagers just naturally make everything about themselves, and they're supposed to. That's part of their development.
Yeah.
But I think we give into it.
Yeah. I think we reinforce it.
Yeah. All right.
Like, so it's just like little things like going to every game. Like my mom thinks it's so funny that we go to every game. Now, there is almost nothing that's more joyful for me than to watch my kids do anything.
Yeah.
And one of the only things you can watch them do is play sports.
Yeah.
Like if I could watch them in class, I probably would. Like if they gave a presentation, I'd love to watch it. Or if they're like, my daughter worked at a cupcake shop, like I would love to go watch her like interact with a customer. Like that would be so fun for me. But the only like sanctioned activity that you can watch your kid do is play sports.
which is so
So
weird.
y'all go.
We all, I mean,
But I love it. I love it. You couldn't take it away from me.
yeah.
But I see her point that it's giving them, people are like running around and leaving the office early and driving across town and sitting in chat. And it's like, I just wonder if that feels like pressure.
Right.
I wonder if it might be more fun for them if we weren't there.
I mean, you have a good point, but I don't think we'll ever know because
I won't, because
we're gonna be there.
We're going to the game.
So the book's a little bit about parenting. Yeah. It's a lot about grief and about your journey in grieving these two people that you have loved and lost. And now we're, several years away from that. How has your grieving changed?
Well, the one person I lost was my dad, who was 85, and so that has changed a lot. I just liked him so much. I just loved his personality. I loved talking to him. So, and he loved me so much. Like, no one will ever love me like that again. There's no, certainly not my children. It's possible for a spouse. Like, I just never had anything like that, and I never will again. And I know it. I'm old enough and wise enough to know that the dynamics of that relationship allowed for something that was so lovely and easy and pure, and I knew when it ended that it was ending forever, and there was no replacing that. Maybe like a grandkid or something, like you could get into that space, where there's just no expectations and no judgment and no hurt feelings and no scars, just joy, joy, joy. And then my friend Liz died when she was 46 after 7 years of ovarian cancer, 3 kids, 8, 10, 12. And I was just thinking about her today because Sunday's Mother's Day. So I think about them a lot. They all look like her. They look like her in different ways. Her oldest is going to college. She just went to her prom. Like, she wore Liz's necklace. Like, I think about those kids, and I think about how much was taken from Liz. Like what a loss for her. And I'm so proud of Andy, her husband. He's just killed it. He's just done such a great job. And I don't know how, that's on the job learning, and he just does so many things right with them, and does such a good job of keeping her at the table in a way that's not weird and not, it's just so positive. He's really incredible. He's an incredible person. And I didn't know that.
So when you were in the physical stages of grief, and you describe this in the book, so real, and so many people are commenting about how much they appreciated this part of the book. And so when you're in that stage, the physical, like, I can barely get out of bed, leave my house, was there anything that anybody said to you or did for you that you took with you, like when somebody else that you knew lost a loved one, that you were like, I'm going to do that for someone else because that meant something to me?
I think there are certain people who probably learn the hard way how little there is to say. Not so for that, but how long that period is where it's the dominant thought. And so to not be rushed into like saying something, like I didn't even like this thing would happen so often, and it really, really clammed me up. It really made me stop talking to people on the phone. Was, we talk and say, I'm so sorry, I heard about Liz and blah, blah, blah. And then there would be like a, 5 minutes in or something, and they'd say, she was just in so much pain. And it was like the turning the corner on the conversation. It was just wrapping it up, because what are you going to do? Like, hold the phone and nobody talks? But it was like, this isn't appropriate to me.
Those statements.
To me, I mean, everybody's so different, but to me, I was like, it was a concluding statement, and
Right.
I didn't want conclusion.
Right.
I don't want anyone to say anything after I say she was robbed.
Yeah.
She was robbed. She spent 7 years in pain. Her youngest, like, doesn't even know who she is.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't even know how funny and smart and athletic she was. Like, she kept saying to me, like, he won't know how like strong I was. Like, she could surf, she could run marathons. Like, she was a baller. And all he knows is that she was like bald and nauseous, and we had to be quiet, and mom's taking a nap, and shh, and like, don't jump on her, and don't touch that side, and get her a cup of tea, and Drew, and just like, that's not at all who she was, not at all the way that she would want him to think of her,
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess that the only thing that people can do is internalize the details of the loss, such that you get out of the platitudes. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's the best thing about writing, is writing stories instead of writing ideas. And it's like this thing that my editor, who I really love, said to me a lot, is like, just stick to the stories. Like, the stories speak for everything. You don't need to say what this means. You don't need to say how the reader should feel. You just tell the story.
Yeah.
Find the details. Like, talk about the beet juice on his upper lip, and the way she would wipe it, and the way she could toss a spoon across the room into the sink, like, every time. And the way she would just like cut the mold off the bread and stick it in the toaster and make like the best piece of cinnamon toast. And, like, just go to the details, and you let the reader figure out what they want to make of it. And that, I feel that way writ large. I feel that way about grief and taking each other in and tell me mooring each other.
Mm-hmm.
Is, I don't need to wrap things up. I just could just to absorb the detail, like, just to think about Drew Lotz for 5 minutes, thinking about his mom as this weakling.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a new wrinkle to the loss. And just absorbing that is like way more meaningful for me, for him, for Liz, than you figuring out what you're going to say.
Yeah.
And rushing, there's like a rushing because it's so uncomfortable. And I don't
Yeah.
blame anybody, but it is terribly easy to just grab one of those platitudes off the shelf and say, well, she's in a better place now, or something like that, which is just like,
It's so true. Rather than just being there.
Right.
And just allowing the moment to be sad.
Right. Yeah, just nodding. I mean, there's just nodding. I mean, you're doing it right now. You're doing what I would like people to do. Like, it's so obvious that you're not trying to figure out what to say next. And that's when you feel like you're actually connecting with someone, is when you don't see their wheels turning on, like, well, then next I'll say, because
it's true.
Like, people just take turns talking. Like, you're
not really listening.
Right.
So, Kelly, I love audiobooks, and both times that I read your book, I actually listened to it. What was it like for you to go back and read your own words? Because you do such a great job with the audiobook. A lot of times I get nervous when the author is going to read their own book, because I'm so used to listening to professional people read books.
Yeah.
And professional book readers, or whatever, narrators, or whatever you want to call it. And there are so many moments in the book where you get choked up. Like, you can, I don't know if you've like gone back and listened to it, if you remember recording it, but there are several moments where I can hear the tears like in your throat.
Yeah.
What was that like to go back and like relive all of those stories and read your own words and just...
So the times that I got choked up, you can assume that there was a worse reading that got cut.
Hmm.
So I'd be coming along and I know what's coming and I'm holding it together. And then I would, and I cry really easily. And so it would just start coming and then I just push through it. And then there would be a pause. And then this great woman whose name's also Kelly, who's done the last 3 books with me. Like she's in the booth and she's in my ear. And she'll say, that was beautiful. Do you think you could try it again? And I said, yeah, I'll try it one more time. Like I'll do 1, but I'm not going to do it 3 times. And what she said, which is really interesting, and it goes to the parenting thing, is when you cry as the narrator, your listener is less likely to feel free to emote because they automatically switch to like worrying about you a little bit. And so I think about
I gotta stop that.
You're not buying that.
When you would get emotional is when I would start crying.
Yeah.
Every time your voice quivered, I'd be like, it was so touching. It was so beautiful because it felt like the words were coming from a real place. It didn't feel like just something that, like, it was like, oh wait, she's a person and this is her story and this is her friend. And what would I do if my friend, that happened to my friend? I mean, I just thought it was beautiful and so well done, and must have just been so difficult for you to just go back and relive all of that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in my, like, it happens all the time. Like I coach lacrosse and I just had the team over last Wednesday on the deck for the end of the year thing. And I got trying to say a few words about the season and I got totally choked up. And, it's partially because the pandemic it was just like hitting me that what an incredible life-giving joy it was to watch them on the field. We were together 7 to 9 p.m. every night, 5 nights a week.
Wow.
And they're funny and they're physical and they're growing. And it was just like the opposite of like stagnation and isolation. And I got choked up trying to describe it. But the other thing I didn't even get to was I coach because my dad was a coach. Mm. And when I'm there, he's there too. Like I can find him there. And I wear his jacket and feel like his kid. And I feel like he would laugh so hard if he knew I was doing it because he actually was like an excellent athlete. I am not, and nor was I ever. But I like kids a lot and I care about them and I can explain things. And so that's the part of the puzzle that I can do. And, but yeah, it's like kind of like God help you the day you stop crying.
Yeah. Well, it comes through in your words. Tell me about how you became a writer, because in the book you have this one chapter where you talk about, I think it was when you talked about good enough, and you talk about how long it took you to like find yourself and how you were later getting married and this whole progression, but you never told me when you became a writer. Have you always been a writer your whole life?
Mm-hmm. Like since 7th grade, I've been writing in journals, and I'm like a kid who would write like a 14-page letter home.
Okay.
Like this is the bug juice, this is the tree, this is the boy's name, this is the Suyu dance. We listen to the cars. Like I'm gonna borrow the sundress. It has ties on the shoulders. Like I just wrote it all down, and having that and looking back on it frequently from age 12 to 30. Was fun. It was fun to read back on. It was fun. And because you're reading back way more frequently, you might read like last year's this year. Mm-hmm. You see what's fun to read. Mm-hmm. Educating yourself in terms of what makes a good story and and because you're entertaining your own self.
Interesting.
So it's like, oh, I got it. Oh God, that's so funny. I can't believe that song. Like this, Just What I Needed by the Cars. Like that was the song that summer at the studio dance. And every time I named something, I got a little thrill. And so I knew that, like, as somebody who's wanted to entertain you, I knew that if I could call up Luke and Laura's Wedding on General Hospital and Bobby Spencer, who was a hooker and then she became a nurse, and like all the details of that crazy soap opera, it would just read better. You would be, I could like, and we could have fun together, in that little recreated space, like a diorama. Like I can put it all together for you and then like bring you in. But I didn't ever think I could write a book. Like first of all, I think writing a whole book is really hard. And I just didn't think I could do it because it's so long. And I'm actually really struggling to write one right now. So it's not like I got so much better at that part of it.
Right.
And I didn't know anyone who had ever written a book. And then I did. So I was my husband's little sister. And I went out for drinks in New York a million years ago. And somebody who was there had written a book. And I was like, oh, like, tell me everything, And it was like just talking to that one person made it seem conceivable in a way that never had before. Like when I was in my 20s, I bought a book. I worked for United Way, so I made zero money. I made like $19,000 in San Francisco. It's unlivable. And I spent money on this catalog, and it was like this fat, and it was a list of every literary agent in the United States.
Okay.
On paper. And it was like each person had an entry. So it was like clients, genres, address, phone number. And so you just and it was super thin, that paper that's like
a phone book.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going down, and there's a lot of genres. And there's like a lot of authors I never heard of. And there's just nothing in there that looked remotely welcoming. And then I read Anne Lamott Operating Instructions. Have you ever read that?
Mm-mm.
Oh, so good. It's about his first year with her son. And I just had never read a memoir before. And I thought it was a memoir. And I thought it was like something that, like Elizabeth Taylor would write a memoir. And then I read this super down-to-earth, funny, honest, very useful little story about this one year. The other thing about it is I didn't know that a memoir, you could just pick off any old experience or any old period of your life and go deep. I thought
Right.
it was like an autobiography where you were like, I was born in Chicago, Illinois.
Right.
And so that was pretty big aha. And then having drinks with that guy, I was like, you're definitely smarter than I am, but you're not like that much smarter than I am. Then I remember reading a very famous memoir that I will not name and thinking that was like, selling like hotcakes and thinking, I could definitely do this. I could definitely write something as good as this.
Uh-huh.
Like if everybody's into this, I can definitely get in this game.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
Because, I was used to reading like Marilyn Robinson or Charles Dickens or whatever. I mean, people that are absolutely unattainable.
Right.
And even now I read way above my pay grade.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a moment where I almost got a little mad. I was like, all right, well, I'm going to see what I can get done here. And then I didn't have a story. I had been a nanny in Australia for a family after the mom died. Wow. So I thought that was my story. And so I wrote a lot of it. I wrote 100 pages maybe. And then I just petered out. I couldn't imagine it really coming to fruition. And then I got cancer, 2 kids in diapers. My dad got cancer, same time, both in chemo. And that was something to write.
Yeah.
And I started writing all the time, and I had all this space to write because everybody was helping. I wasn't like doing my own laundry. I wasn't going to the grocery store anymore. I just did my chemo, slept it off, did my chemo again. And so that created like impetus I really was pretty sure my dad was going to die. He didn't. But I thought I got to write this while he's alive. I got to tell him what it's been to be his kid. And I had all that emotional energy and I actually had time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was so fun. It was so exciting. Like the whole thing just, I had never asked for anything more in my life. Like the most exciting ride ever.
Is there anything that you felt like if you could go back, you'd put it in that book, or anything you wish you could take out?
You know, it's so funny. When I was writing that book, there were some great stories about my mom, and I knew that I would want to write about her eventually. Like once we all, as a family, kind of got used to the idea that I was like going to be this writer person. And I asked Pam Dorman, was the one who bought the book, and she's a very famous editor in New York and very, very smart. And I said, oh, I feel like I want to save that one for the next one. And she said, you never save anything. You got it. Don't leave it on the table. And I thought, okay. And so there's nothing I regret not putting in.
Uh-huh.
But it did like clear out. Like those are the best 40 stories I know.
Ah.
Like at that moment, I was like, I am empty. Like that's the best stuff I've got. Because, you know, you tell stories your whole life. Like I told the prom story that my brothers and I all went to the same prom.
Right.
I made the sleigh buns and I had this like Victorian dress and I was totally being a fool out of myself. And I knew how to tell that story. And so then I just wrote that story.
Yeah.
But then I didn't have so much left to mine. I had to live a little.
Yeah.
And actually the next book, I went back to being a nanny in Australia.
Okay.
I did tell that story.
And
because it's so powerful to me as a woman who had cancer.
Uh-huh.
Kids. The idea that I had nannied for someone who died and I lost this was like, this is so weird. How weird is it that I would have that experience?
That one was called The Middle Place?
The first one was The Middle Place, about me and my dad. And that one was called Glitter and Glue because my mom always said, your father's the glitter, but I'm the glue.
My husband quotes that line a lot, and I don't think he knows it came from you.
It came from my mom. It came from Mary Corrigan.
So, okay, before we go, I want to hear about the other things that you're doing right now. But I have to say, before we go, please tell your husband, Edward, that I wholeheartedly agree. Cast iron skillet is the only way to cook bacon.
Right, and you don't put soap in it.
I think I put soap on mine. But mine's like a fancier cast iron skillet.
We're like a campers. We have like a camping. I could kill them with it.
Yeah, mine's super heavy, but I don't know. Maybe I'm not supposed to put soap on it. Well, okay. Tell us before we run out of time.
Yeah.
You are not only a great writer, but you are also an incredible interviewer, question asker. And you have a podcast.
I do. Kelly Corrigan Wonders.
Everybody's talking about soap in the skillet right now. My sister, everybody's telling me, Holly, no soap.
No soap.
Okay.
So see that? No. See Shauna? She's like, no.
No, I know they're all. I'm sorry, guys. No more soap. So, okay, the podcast, which is phenomenal,
Thank you.
I just want to say, I listened to you interview Margaret Atwood, and your questions, like you must have spent so much time. Maybe not. Maybe you're just that brilliant, but your questions were so good. And then you kept up with her. Like she was on like another level intellectually. I was like, whoa.
I know.
What in the world? But you kept up with her so good. And so I just want to tell everyone they need to check out your podcast. It's called Kelly Corrigan Wonders.
Kelly Corrigan Wonders. There's a podcast that just went up today. That's one of my favorites. We've done 33 so far. So there's a lot to explore. But the one today is with this woman, Tamara Gendler, who was a philosophy professor at Yale. And I found her on the internet because I had listened to her class and I was really into it. And so then I found her and was like, hey, I just listened to your class. Will you be on my podcast? And she vetted me. Because she's like the dean of arts and letters of Yale. Like she's like the real deal. And anyway, she is the best thinker, talker person, and she has 5 ancient secrets, 5 2,000-year-old secrets to modern happiness.
Okay, what's her name again?
Tamar, Tamar Gendler.
Okay.
And it's right now, it's on the top of the feed.
And that's your favorite one that you've done in 33?
I don't know. I love talking to Margaret. I love George Saunders so much. I love Gia Tolentino. I did 4 with this woman, Wanda Holland Green, who's just like a soul sister. It's a really fun project. You should do a podcast. Do you have a podcast? You're so good.
I don't have a podcast, but I have a YouTube channel. And
Okay.
so I do an interview every month on my YouTube channel.
Okay.
And it's
You're going to have to co-host with me.
I would love to, but I've not interviewed, I've not interviewed anybody on the level of some of the people you mentioned. Although I will brag about our book club. Last month, we got to talk to Dr. Edith Eger. Edith Eger, do you know who she is?
Don't know.
Okay, she wrote this book called, I just have it right on my desk, called The Choice. Edith Eva Eger. She is a 93-year-old woman who survived the Holocaust. And this book is about her not just surviving Auschwitz, but it's about her recovery and rebuilding her life. And so our book club like spammed her and was like, we had a hashtag eager for eager and to get her to come on. And we got her to come on and it was awesome. So that was a really fun interview.
You're hysterical.
Okay, so you also have a TV show. And you have interviewed Jennifer Garner, who I love. She's like one of my favorite celebrity follows on Instagram.
Person.
I love her pretend cooking show. She seems like the most down-to-earth person. Down to earth. I don't even know what that means.
Truly, truly as nice as you think she is.
So I loved your interview with Jennifer. And then I loved your interview with James Corden. And carpool karaoke and the story that he told with oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot his name.
Paul McCartney. Yeah.
I just want everybody to go watch your show. And then so it's on PBS, but then I looked it up and you can watch the interviews on YouTube too.
Oh, are they on YouTube? Yeah, so pbs.org or YouTube. It's called Tell Me More with Kelly Corrigan. And we're filming 10 more for the fall. They'll start going up in October. Then we have 10 more in the spring. And yeah, it's going to be like a thing. Like it's like the new Charlie Rose.
That's amazing. Can you like sneak peek us any of the people that you interviewed? I can't. Okay. Kelly, thank you so much. I hope we get to meet in person one day.
I know. I really enjoyed this. You're great.
Thank you so much. And thank you for your book. And we can't wait for more from you.
Thanks. Bye, guys. I'll see you on the pod.
Good night.
Good night.
I really loved getting to chat with Kelly tonight. I hope you did too. And I hope that you will pick up a copy of her book, Tell Me More. If you didn't get a chance to read it, I promise you that you will love it. We had the best conversation. And this is why I love book club. I love reading books. I love meeting authors. And I love talking to my friends about those books. And so if you have not officially joined the Holly Furtick Book Club, make sure you go to hollyfurtick.com. All I need is your email. I promise I'm not going to spam you. I'm just going to send you an email once a month to tell you what we're reading, when we're talking about it, and where we're going to talk about it, and so that you can join us for that conversation. Don't forget, if you like this video, like it, subscribe it, share it, and you'll see more of that right here on the Holly Furtick YouTube channel. I love you, and I'll see you next time.